Every payday, most people make the same mistake. They spend their paycheck 3 times. First, in their head, they've already allocated it to bills and wants. Then they spend it on impulse, a few small purchases that weren't in the plan. And finally, they spend it a 3rd time, scrambling to fix what they forgot. And that is exactly why so many people earn money, pay bills, and then stare at their bank account like it was robbed by a very polite criminal. If you have ever said to yourself, "I know I got paid, so why do I already feel broke?" then this is for you. The problem isn't that you're lazy or terrible with money. The problem is that your paycheck has no job description. It just shows up. Chaos happens, and you're left hoping for the best. But hope is not a budget. The people who actually build wealth aren't always the ones making the most money. They just have a system, a repeatable, boring, beautiful system that tells every dollar where to go the second it lands. And today, I'm going to walk you through that system in the exact order that makes it work. Because yes, there is an order. If you skip it, you can end up investing too early, saving too little, or building a budget that falls apart the moment life gets annoying. So, let's fix that. Step 1 is the foundation. You need to figure out how much of your take-home pay is going to actual necessities, and I mean actual necessities, not the things we've emotionally adopted as necessities. We are talking about housing, groceries, basic transportation, utilities, and healthcare. That's the list. Not your streaming subscriptions, not the food delivery because it's been a long day, not the gym membership you're honoring in spirit. Take your last 30 days of spending. Add up only those essential categories. Then divide that number by your monthly take-home pay. That percentage tells you a story. If more than about 60% of your income is going toward true necessities, that's a warning sign. It means either your cost of living is genuinely too high for your income, or you've slowly started calling wants needs because it feels less painful. Both happen, and both are fixable. But you can't fix a problem you haven't diagnosed. It's like trying to lose weight by buying new running shoes and then rewarding yourself with cheesecake. You're active, technically, but you're not effective. Once you know your necessity percentage, you know how much room you actually have left. And that remaining room is where your entire financial future gets built. Now, before you jump straight to investing because social media told you to buy 7 ETFs before lunch, step 2 is simpler. Make every current debt payment on time every single time. Minimum payments matter. Not because they're glamorous, they're not. They're the financial equivalent of brushing your teeth. Nobody brags about doing it, but things get ugly fast when you stop. Your credit score is your financial reputation. It doesn't care that you meant to pay it tomorrow. One missed payment can follow you for months. In most parts of life, 97% is excellent. In the world of credit, that last 3% can wreck your weekend. So, before anything fancy, make sure your obligations are covered. Automate those minimum payments, set reminders, do whatever it takes to prevent your future self from creating problems for your present self. Okay, here is where a lot of people mess up. They start investing before they have any emergency cushion. It sounds responsible. They're building wealth, but in reality, they're building a tower on a shaky table. Before you invest a single extra dollar, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses in a liquid, accessible savings account. Not in stocks, not in crypto, not in a locked account that turns into a hostage negotiation when you need the money. A high-yield savings account is boring. That is exactly why it works. Emergencies aren't rare. They feel like they're scheduled by the universe specifically for the week you start feeling financially confident. Your car breaks down, your rent goes up, your job gets weird. Without an emergency fund, every surprise becomes a crisis. With one, it's still annoying, but it's survivable. And that doesn't just change your bank balance, it changes your stress level. You sleep better. You make calmer decisions. You stop feeling like one random Tuesday could financially destroy you. That peace of mind matters.
Once that emergency fund is in place, now you are ready for step 4, investing. This is where the plan gets fun. If your employer offers a retirement match, that is your first priority, no debate. That match is free money. Your employer is literally saying, if you put money away for your future, we will also put money away for your future. That's not an investment opportunity, that's a raise wearing a necktie. Take it. After getting the full match, work toward investing around 10% of your gross income for retirement. It doesn't have to happen overnight, but that's a strong target. The big advantage here isn't genius, it's time. Time does the heavy lifting. Someone who starts at 25 and invests consistently can end up with far more than someone who waits until 35 and tries to throw bigger amounts at the problem later. Every year you wait, compounding loses one of its favorite hobbies, making you look smarter than you feel. And don't overcomplicate this. Most of us don't need a clever strategy. We need a strategy we'll actually follow. For most people, a simple, diversified index fund is more than enough. You don't need to be a stock-picking wizard. You just need consistency. Once your retirement investing is running, step 5 is to attack your remaining non-mortgage debt. There are 2 popular ways to do this. The avalanche method focuses on the highest interest debt first. Mathematically, this saves you the most money. The snowball method focuses on the smallest balances first. This gives you quick psychological wins and builds momentum. Both work. The best method is the one you will keep doing after a bad day or a stressful month, because paying off debt isn't just math, it's behavior, and behavior wins. After that, you can look at other options, like a Roth account, where you pay taxes now so your money can grow and be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. It's doing the painful part early so your future self gets the reward. And now we get to the final step, the one that makes it all stick. Automate everything. This is the part people underestimate because it sounds boring. It is not boring. It is the engine. Willpower is unreliable. It disappears when you're tired, stressed, or 5 minutes from buying something labeled a limited time deal. So don't build your financial plan on motivation, build it on automation. Set up automatic transfers for the day after your paycheck hits. 1 transfer to savings, 1 to investments, 1 to debt. Bills handled automatically. Your core plan is executed before your brain has time to negotiate with itself. That way, your tired Thursday night self can't sabotage the smart decisions your focused Monday morning self made. Of course, you still need one small habit. Update the system when life changes. Get a raise, increase the transfers. Pay off a debt, redirect that payment. The system runs the day-to-day. You just update the instructions. And that's why this plan works. It's not flashy or complicated. It isn't built on guilt or panic. It works because it gives your paycheck an order. Necessities first, payments protected. Emergency fund built, retirement started, debt attacked, everything automated. So the next time your paycheck arrives, it doesn't just disappear, it deploys. And that is the difference between feeling broke all the time and actually building financial stability. You stop asking, where did my money go? Because now you already know. You told it where to go.